Is yours still on, so you can just have it so I can see them on.
I guess if I sat in the right seat, I'd know what I was doing, huh?
You can sit there if you like, you're the chair.
All my paperwork's over here. Okay. There's nothing to report out of a closed session. We'll move on to item number 2.
Yes, our next item is the 2008-2009 Cable Commission budget. Several components of that with channel licensees, the operations, revenue, and agreements.
Okay, good afternoon. Bob Davison, Executive Director. And I've been watching a lot of budget hearings on TV, and I'm hoping that this budget hearing will be relatively easy compared to maybe some of the other ones that you've been participating in. So I'll say that optimistically, and we'll go into the budget. The 2008-2009 Commission budget shows that there's a resolution requesting you adopt a budget totaling about $12.4 million. Just some of the highlights. This anticipates cable TV revenue from local and state franchise fees to be about $9.7 million. Best Net is part of the budget, and in this year's budget, there's $1.3 million of the third year of the Best Net agreement that was approved between SMCTC and Comcast. And I just want to point out that $1.7 million from previous year's Best Net allocations are being rolled into this year's budget, and that's why we're getting up to this $12.4 million number, which is higher than you're used to seeing. Most of it's money that was already allocated to Best Net, and it's just simply we haven't spent it all yet. It's going to be spent. We just couldn't spend it fast enough, and so it rolls into this year's budget. There's $210,000 for closed captioning, which we'll talk about in a bit. And in the end, if everything goes according to budget, there would be $6.7 million at the end of the year that would be distributed to the county and the cities. And with that, I'm going to go through the budget component by component, and feel free to ask the questions that, of course, you always feel free anyway, but at the end of each component, certainly, rather than wait until the end of the presentation if you have any questions. Component 1 is administration and regulation. That starts on page 3 of your staff report. The total proposed budget is $864,000. And this is basically the administrative and the enforcement arm of the commission. It's staffed by me, the part-time executive director, as well as an ASO and 1.5 full-time equivalent clerical support. That's pretty much the staff. I want to point out, as part of this component, I am recommending a change to commission benefits this year. Basically, the current medical subsidy for commission employees is $710. And, something I hadn't really keyed on, and it certainly came up actually in the negotiations and trying to fill behind Diane, commission benefits not being as good as maybe some of the other the member agencies and other competing jurisdictions. That was an issue in the negotiations, and I took a look at benefits. I actually asked staff to do a survey, and I looked at a survey, and the one clear thing that came out was the subsidy for medical was well behind almost anybody. So I plan to look into this further, but I just felt that a change could be made now, and I'm proposing that the medical subsidy be increased from $710 to $979, which is 80% of Kaiser, and that's consistent with how at least how the county and city do the formula, I believe. I know some of the member agencies do it different. Some have 100%, and I don't believe anybody is lower than that. But I just think that this is a fair thing to do, and arguably maybe should have thought of that last year too. But I would recommend that you make that change along with adopting today's budget. The other thing I want to point out is this number looks higher, and it's not necessarily the case, but it's relatively consistent with the last year's budget with a few differences. But one of the main things is, as you know, Diane Graber, the longtime ASO, is leaving, and when someone leaves and they've been here for that long, there's certain balances and things, and there's a final payout, which certainly is well-deserved, but that does affect the budget. And so I think about there's a portion in today's budget that covers that as well. And so just in looking at the numbers, it's just important to point that out. Also, this includes our consulting. We have a current contract with Rich Espasto that we're proposing an increase of $10 to his rate, and that's attached to there's a separate resolution for that. And then legal counsel costs are being adjusted as well, and that's covered under this portion of the budget. And with that, that's the presentation on component number 1, and I'll move on to number 2 unless there's any questions. Okay, component number 2 is closed captioning, and I think this has been one of the great successes of the past couple of years. We're pretty much almost fully implemented. There were the 5 entities that weren't the contracting agencies, the SMUD, RT, Sacramento Fire, Sac City Schools, and North Highlands Rec and Park District. I think we would like to have got them all up and running. We're working on getting them all up and running, and I think SMUD is up and running, and RT is close, and so I'm hoping to see most of those meetings closed captioned next year. But other than that, pretty much all the member agencies, all the meetings on Metro Cable, with exception of those few meetings that I just mentioned, are being closed captioned right now. So I think that's good. Also, the budget amount is proposed to be reduced to $210,000, and that's just based upon our experience with closed captioning. We budgeted relatively conservatively the last couple of years because we wanted to make sure we can do it, and now we think that we can do it for $210,000, which is significantly less than what we budgeted last year.
I think RG has a question for you there, Bob.
Bob, you mentioned that RT is close to implementing closed caption, and I noticed in the budget there's no dollar amount set aside for that. Do you think they're not that close to need that in the budget?
Excuse me, the chart that you're looking at, I might not have made it clear. That's year-end estimate for this year. We haven't done any closed captioning for them, but they are included in the 210.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Along with all the other ones that are not close yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Waters?
Do we have a rough estimate, or do you know exactly how many hours Rich Esposito put in last year for us?
Hours.
Roughly? Lots, or just? You can get back to me if you don't have it.
Yeah, we can get back to you. I actually was just checking on that, and I thought I reviewed an amount today. Honestly, it wasn't that much, but I don't know if we were waiting for some final hours to come in or not, that is the question.
Yeah, he's only billed once this year from last summer through January, and so he hasn't worked that many
Okay,
hours.
just get back to me, it's fine.
Sure, we'll get back to you.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. With that, I'll move on to component number 3, which is Metro Cable. And the proposed budget is $415,000, and this includes $50,000 for equipment. Some of this is equipment, about $20,000 or so is equipment that we expect to replace. There's a little less than $30,000, I believe, is for some switches that we always budget, and we never know if we need to replace, but we just always want it in the budget in case it goes out, because it's something that you need to move on quick. So I don't think a switch has gone out since I've been executive director, but if it has,
now that you've mentioned it.
yeah, probably will go out tomorrow. I do want to take this time to recognize Metro Cable staff. They do a great job. If I don't, they'll probably cut me off here, but but they really do. They support the member agencies. There's been a lot of activity with control rooms and equipment upgrades and things going on. Virtually everyone is doing something in this regard, and I believe that the number of trips that they've made to the member agencies has tripled this past year. And and this is a good thing, and it's Metro Cable would rather have their expertise be used in the process rather than wait till fix things after they've broken down. If they weren't brought in. But they do provide a lot of help and assistance, and it's certainly appreciated. There was a van replacement that we were talking about for a long time that we actually put on hold a little bit because we had to implement closed captioning, and we reprioritized the van. But the van changeover was done over I think towards the end of last year, and that was done very quickly with some rental equipment. I think mostly it was unnoticed, and I think that's a good thing. And also, Metro Cable staff is an integral part of closed captioning. Virtually every meeting that's captioned, something has to be done, and Metro Cable staff helps with that, coordinates with the captioners who is Caption Colorado, and so it's kind of behind the scenes, but it's something else that they do. So with that, I just want to make sure I got that pitch in for Metro Cable, as well as recommending that portion of the budget. Okay. With that, we'll go to component 4, which is community programming. Consistent with last year, your commission approved some one-time allocations, and I don't know of any that are being requested from any of the channel licensees or franchisees this year, but last year you also approved a CPI adjustment, and I'm recommending the same thing, a CPI adjustment for the base that goes to the channel licensees and grantees, and I'm suggesting that be 3.4%, which is the same CPI adjustment that the county, at least the county staff is seeing. So I'm recommending that, and that's the total cost that's added to the community programming of $37,000. The other thing I want to point out is that we did get a request consistent with requests that we've received in the past from the county. It came in to the point where we couldn't get it in this budget, but the county is basically requesting $60,000 over 2 years, so $30,000 in this year's budget, $30,000 in next year's budget. Basically, I believe they're proposing a significant upgrade to the very chambers that you're in right now. As part of that upgrade, there will be many technical changes to lighting, cameras, and equipment that the commission has been a part of in the past, helping out all the different agencies with. And in fact, I believe there's a schedule in today's package, but you can look at past amounts. And I think the county a long time ago requested some assistance, and it was provided. And then most of the member agencies have gone through a cycle of requesting similar assistance, and the county is. And I believe every member agency has requested some assistance at one time or the other. And basically the county with this new, what I'm told is a significant upgrade to these chambers is requesting a similar assistance. And so that's not in the budget as you see. So if it was approved, it would be netted out of the amounts that are shown to be distributed at the end of the year. So just want to make sure that you understood it's not actually part of the numbers, but certainly if that's what you wish to do, then we can make that adjustment. And I believe that's the end of component 4. And the last component is maybe in some eyes the best component. It's the payment to the parental entities. And what we show is that the proposed payout after everything else that happens in the budget is about $6.7 million being distributed to the parental entities. This is actually a 14% increase over the amount budgeted last year. The amount that's being distributed this year is a lot higher than anybody thought for a couple reasons. One is we're receiving more revenues than expected, but of course we're conservative. And two, actually we got some settlement monies that actually was part of this year's distribution that we didn't expect at this time last year. So actually the member agency distributions that I just signed this week and probably will be received relatively soon will be higher than people thought, which given the budget situations this time is probably a good thing. And we're being conservative a little bit here, but this is what we expect the distribution to be next year, albeit a $30,000 adjustment if your commission approves the county request. Okay, and if there's any questions on component 5, if there's not, then that pretty much concludes the budget presentation. I recommend that you adopt the budget, adopt today's recommendations. Basically, the first resolution approves the budget as well as the agreements for the channel licensees and grantees. It appropriates best net with the rollover that we talked about. It appropriates the revenue distribution. It would implement the increased health subsidy to the commission staff. And then there's another resolution adopting, basically we should approve agreements with PERS, McDonough, Holland, and Allen, and then also the agreement with Rich Espasto. And then if your commission wishes to grant the county request, then please provide that direction as well so we can make sure that we have that in the in the action for today's budget action.
Okay. Thank you, Bob, for a comprehensive report there. We've got
What page number is that allocations on? Shows the city and the county and
That's
Okay.
it's the last page.
Page 9 of the report.
here. Gotcha, found it.
Attachment 9.
Here.
It's way in the back.
Okay, thank you. I got it.
I've got 4 speaker request forms. Would you like to, is there a discussion?
Just very quickly, I'm comfortable supporting the request of the county. I look at it, there's many meetings held in these chambers, and anything that can be done to assist that. And their last request was back in 2001, along with a number of these other folks. So, I would kind of look at this as other agencies also work through upgrades and modernization, I would also support that too. These amounts aren't large, but significantly help these agencies. So I'm comfortable with, so that they're requesting $30,000 this year and $30,000 next year. So that just comes out of the parents' distribution, and which would be minuscule in my mind. So.
Right.
Any other comments? Okay, I'm going to call up Elizabeth Rhodes.
Good afternoon. I'm Liz Rhodes with the Sacramento Educational Cable Consortium. Bob had asked me to give you provide just a real brief update of where we are with BestNet. I did put a packet on your thing. If you look at the very back part, I can make this very brief. The last thing is just a list of all the schools, how that translates to you, the numbers, and I think that's, at the end of the day, that's the important part, is what does that look like. First and second page are all of the schools that, all the ones in yellow are completely done. You've already paid for them. Thank you to Diane and to Karen for working with us and getting all those numbers worked out. So I think we're on the same page in terms of where we stand with rollover. The plan is to have every single middle school, every single high school completely done by June of next year. We may have one or two that are outstanding. But this list contains all of the middle schools, all the high schools, all the district offices. Just 2 district offices that are kind of hanging out there because they're outside the franchise area, outside the cable service area, but they were on the original list. We're looking at wireless solutions for them, and we hope to have that in place by the end of December this year. But everything's on there. Comcast is on board with us. A special thank you to the Herculean efforts that they've provided over the last couple of months in trying to, with their transition and all their staffing. The new Vice President, Marty Robinson, has made a commitment to us that he will roll over excess funding. In case you were not aware of it, I did report to you last time that the expenditures for this year came in well under. Comcast saved us about $600,000, which was phenomenal. And they're working with us on this last set of schools because we've added quite a few schools since that original list of 84. So Comcast is being supportive, rolling the funds over to match the funding that you're putting in and that the schools are putting in. So unless there are any questions, I think all the schools are listed on there. You can see the timeline. Bottom line, we expect them all to be done by the end of your next fiscal year. Okay?
Great.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Ron Cooper.
Ron Cooper, Executive Director of Access Sacramento, and joined by Renee Dunn, who is the Treasurer of the Board of Directors of Access Sacramento. And I think distributed there is, this is what you pay for. And we really, really appreciate the funding and the ongoing support. Also thanks to Liz Harris to putting all the programming on a hopefully fairly easy to read grid there, 7 days a week, channel 17, 18, and also community radio, The Voice. And we've looked at other public access organizations around the country, and we're always right there at the top in terms of the diversity and quality and number of programs that are created by your constituents here in Sacramento County. And all of that is because of your continued support, and we really, really appreciate it. And on behalf of the 600 active volunteers, they thank you as well. The full May 15th report, I think, has been distributed to each of you several times now. I think it does a good job of kind of summarizing the many and varied activities that we've accomplished over the last 6 months and what kind of bodes for the future. Once again, thank you very much for the proposed cost of living increase. As we all know, the numbers are jumping, and that additional sum will be put to good use, and we really appreciate it. So I will conclude by saying thank you, and are there any questions?
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you for all that you do here. Sometimes we forget to say thanks because we just keep moving and you keep doing your job. But I forgot to say it to Liz, and I do want to say thanks because without your partnerships, we'd really have a tough time. And it's really nice to know that you're there. And it's really nice to know that this is the first budget. I think you haven't asked for more money.
Yeah. Good point, Sandy.
next year.
Thanks for the pen, Ron.
Okay.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes. A little pin there to circle your favorite programming.
I see.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Dexter McNamara?
Good afternoon. My name is Dexter McNamara. I'm the Executive Director of the Interfaith Service Bureau, which is the parent organization of RCC-TV, Religious Coalition for Cable Television. I guess it's appropriate for me to speak in this budgetary time, although once again, as it has been forever, we get $0 because of the arrangement in terms of a religious channel. Actually, so I'm really here to do two things, to say a special thanks to Comcast, and then to tell you a little bit about the challenge that we're having, and then an invitation to you. The thanks is that last time I spoke to you in the fall, I told you about a real crisis that we were having because Comcast last spring had moved us from 19 to 96. And we had a number of programmers who said, that's just beyond the universe. No one is contacting us, and they dropped, we lost probably 20% of our programmers, which makes up a huge, that's a big budget cut. So we talked to you, we wrote to Comcast. Comcast said, please, let's talk about that. We went out there for a meeting anticipating, well, what are we going to do? We sat down, they said, we got a solution. Electronically, we'll move you back to 20. People punch in on the cable box. You're still, this is above my pay grade. You're still officially on 96, but electronically you're on 20. So we really appreciated that. The challenge is that a lot of those programmers that we lost, it's hard to get them back. Some of them, I would say, were pretty marginal anyway, economically. We are beginning to get some of those back, but we're still in a hole, and we're digging to get out of that. We're pursuing other kind of options, which takes me to the final thing, an invitation. I have here in this form, and I'm going to send that to you hopefully in the next couple of weeks in a little nice jacket. This is about a 7-minute montage of speeches from young people from 8 different faith traditions. Last September 11th at the Cathedral of the Blessed Sacrament, we had a service there in the evening. About maybe 600 people were present. We asked young people to speak around the themes of remembrance and hope. Wonderful stuff, really powerful. And then our editor, Owen Burgess, took that, did that wonderful stuff and reduced it down to about 7 minutes. So you get clips of those, of actually, I think 7 of the different speakers altogether. I will send that to you when we have it in the package. Please look at that for 2 reasons. One is to be just excited what you see in those young people and what they're talking about working together and across all those faith lines. And then secondly, say, that RCC-TV does some pretty good editing stuff. So thank you very much.
Question, Dexter.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me the 96 to 20, how it really works? You push in 20 and do we get you?
If you got the converter box on Comcast, you just punch in 20, that's what you're going to see is RCC-TV.
So what's 96 for, AT&T or what?
You're getting above my pay grade there. I don't know if you punch in 90.
I just was curious why it would, I know you wanted it back down there with 17 and 18, but, or close to that.
Right.
But,
that's a good question. If someone punches in 96, I don't know that. I don't, let's see.
You see it on 96 and 20.
In 96 and 20?
Same signal to 2 different.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
See, I need an expert on that. I'm not.
all right.
A good question.
Thank you,
Good question.
Dexter.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Arla Gibson?
HD, you don't have that? Yeah, HD TV, and then you get a special box. No, I can work that.
Good afternoon. I'm Arla Gibson, the Director of Development and Marketing for Capital Public Radio. And I was going to wait until after the budget got passed, but I certainly encourage you to support this budget as it stands. And like the others, we appreciate the increase this year. Every little bit helps. But thanks to your support, we've had a very good year at Capital Public Radio, and we really appreciate all that you do for us. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'll move adoption.
Okay. Motion, here a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That was easy.
Could I clarify the action that,
That was all the motions.
did we include, for the motion, did you include the $30,000 for the county?
Yes,
And both-
absolutely.
And both actions,
what I
both
thought.
Staff's
resolutions?
recommendation, yes.
Thank you. Our next item is elect chairperson and vice chairperson. Item 3.
Chair.
Mr. Waters?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to keep Mike Leary as our chair. He's done a great job for us this year, and I know he can do one more year. And that's not unusual. I did 4 years in a row. So,
Going for the record.
yes. And also Steve Miller is vice chair. So if that's acceptable to the board, that would be my motion if I can get a second.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you.
Okay?
I appreciate your support, that's for sure.
All in favor?
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, guys. Appreciate the support. Look forward to it again.
With that, item 4 is AT&T and Comcast DIVCA interconnect compliance.
Good afternoon again. I talked about the budget item being maybe relatively pleasant, and this item I think maybe is relatively unpleasant. I've actually talked to some, well, at least one AT&T Project Evers customer that, and I asked them, oh, do you know about Channel 99? And they say, yeah, I got on Channel 9 and I saw that there's a bunch of government programming and such, but you can't find any of the Sacramento PEG channels. They didn't call it that, but they were looking for Channel 14, which is Channel 14 on Comcast Metro Cable. Couldn't find it, and I had to explain to them, well, I said that, that's not on AT&T's product yet. As your commission is aware, they had till November of 2007 to basically carry the PEG channels, and that didn't happen. I was actually pleased that both Comcast and AT&T were working on interconnect, kind of the same way Sure West captures the PEG channels. They interconnect with Comcast, and then the PEG channels appear on the Sure West system. So we were proposing the same solution for AT&T and Comcast. And so I was basically told by both parties that they were proactively working on an interconnect agreement. So it wasn't until the last commission meeting where I believe Tim Ray from AT&T got up and spoke and indicated that there were some problems in the negotiations and that it seemed like they were reaching an impasse on some issues. So since that time, time went by and I didn't hear anything. So I sent an email to all the parties, and I basically suggested that that they try to work out their differences, and also I asked if they could, basically report back to me in writing, what the issues are. And since that time, we did receive full responses from both Comcast and AT&T. They're in your package today. I'm not going to try to summarize every point that they make, but I think, basically both parties agree that there is a technical solution to interconnect, that technically AT&T could interconnect with Comcast and carry the PEG content. And to me, that still seems like the best solution for AT&T carrying the PEG channels. But what they both seem to indicate is that there's an impasse in regards to the money amount. I believe Comcast contends that the annual cost for operating and maintaining the PEG delivery is about $75,000, and that they suggested that the cost should be shared equally by at least the three parties that utilize the system, including Sure West and AT&T. AT&T objects, indicating that they're subsidizing Comcast. They don't offer another solution. So, I'm a little bit disappointed, honestly. I mean, it's two very large telecommunication companies. All the money that, both of them put into AB 2987 and DIVCA, and what looks like around $2,000 a month, they can't come up with an agreement so that the PEG channels can be interconnected and carried on the AT&T system, which, by the way, DIVCA, I think, provides support for that, which I think Harriet's going to talk a little bit more about when I'm done. So I'm definitely disappointed. I do recommend, as in your packet today, that a notice hearing be scheduled in September to enforce DIVCA PEG interconnection requirements. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to Harriet, who can maybe explain some of the legal issues involved in this a little bit better than I could.
Good afternoon. You have a memo from my office in your packet regarding interconnect. It's our recommendation that you set a hearing for September so that we can ask both Comcast and AT&T what the status is at that point. And then we believe that DIVCA gives the commission the authority to order interconnect. DIVCA says that they have to interconnect if it's technically feasible. And from the information that we have today, which is included in your packet, we don't believe that there is a technical issue with respect to interconnect. We believe, based on their on the letters, that this is purely a financial issue and not a large financial issue at that. And so we think that the commission has the authority to hold a hearing, has the authority to enforce DIVCA with respect to the interconnect provisions. We think that the best way to go about that at this point is basically to give the two parties notice that we expect them to interconnect, as we have told them in the past, and to ask the commission to schedule a hearing for September. And if there is not interconnect at that point, then your staff would come back with a recommendation. You would hear from the parties, and then you could take the appropriate action. And so that's our recommendation at this point. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Andy?
You know, maybe this isn't for Harriet, but you mentioned Sure West also. Now they are providing cable service in the Sacramento County area, right?
Correct.
Do they have these PEG channels on their system?
They do.
They do. So they've worked out something with Comcast and they're all set up.
Yeah, it's my understanding that there's a private interconnect agreement with Sure West and Comcast. I don't believe your commission has ever reviewed that agreement. Harriet, maybe you can correct me if I'm
No,
wrong.
I believe that Mr. Espasto helped facilitate that agreement, but that is a private agreement, and we do not have a copy of their final agreement. But Sure West is interconnected, and the Sure West customers do get all of the PEG channels from Sacramento on their system.
And kind of related to another item, are their channels the same as Comcast, or do they do a 99 sort of a thing?
Oh, it's my understanding their channels are the same as Comcast channels.
Okay, thanks.
It's not a channel 99 drop-down.
Were AT&T and Comcast notified of this hearing today?
Yes. In a couple of ways. Actually, in my initial email that went to them, I think I said I planned to have an agenda item today. And additionally, the agenda packet, which they both received, included today's staff report, which you all reviewed, as well as their responses were included. So they were notified in multiple ways.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't sign up to speak on this issue until I heard Bob tonight.
Yeah, come on up, Ron.
Ron Cooper, and the hat I'm wearing now is the treasurer of the Alliance of Community Media Western Region. And we're watchdogging, obviously, statewide DIVCA implementation and the Public Utilities Commission's new responsibilities in terms of oversight of the state cable franchise. The focus now seems to be on, let's make sure that we develop the ways that franchise fees for these new state cable franchises pay to local government and how that works out and so forth. But a second priority is the issue of the PEG channels. So one of the things I want to point out, and again, what I'm about to say is pure speculation. I have no evidence of this whatsoever. But do consider that you are administering the cable system for the state of California, the capital of California, where legislators watch. Southern California is not being implemented in any, especially Los Angeles, by AT&T. Many, as you know, legislators at the state level come from Southern California. They can't see this Channel 99 option. If it were on here in Sacramento County and we went across the street and said, watch and see how inferior it is they could obviously see it. So I would, again, total speculation, but I would suggest that this delay, which has no bearing in any kind of fact except $2,100 a month, and we all kind of shake our heads, well, why are they not moving forward? Why is everything dragging their heels? I would suggest they don't want the legislators to see Channel 99. They don't want to show how obviously inferior it is. So, thank you.
Thank you for the information. Okay, anything further on that, Bob? Okay, thank you. Item number 5.
Sorry about that. Our next item is item 5.
Excuse me, though this was an action item, I mean, there was the recommendation that the commission schedule a notice of public hearing for September 2008 to enforce DIVCA PEG interconnection requirements.
So moved.
Second.
I have a question, Mr. Leary.
Yes, Cardy?
Is there any mediation or anything for the parties that has been suggested, or?
I have offered my assistance in mediation, and in fact, I did assist in some meetings between KVIE and AT&T that had to do some technical issues in implementing the interconnect. So I have offered my assistance to both parties, and I offered it again when I sent the email requesting their help, and we'll offer it again between now and the next meeting, because quite honestly, rather than having a hearing, I'd rather come report to you that we have an interconnect agreement. And
so the bottom line, this is a beef, lack of a better term, between AT&T and Comcast. And in the interim, anybody that signs up for AT&T
UVerse, Project UVerse.
UVerse cannot access any PEG channels?
They can access, I believe, because I don't have it myself, but I believe they can access other PEG channels in the region that are being shown on the Channel 99 platform.
But not
the 7 SMCTC PEG channels.
Including Channel 14.
Meeting right now, Channel 14, Metro Cable.
Metro Cable.
I say Channel 14, but.
Right. So basically, any UVerse customer today in Sacramento cannot see any of your PEG channels, including the government channel. They may be able to see other channels outside of the Sacramento region, but they cannot see your channels because AT&T and Comcast have failed to reach an interconnect agreement. Which is, as we understand from their letters, because they're arguing over whether AT&T should pay Comcast approximately $2,100 a month.
Per what?
For the maintenance and upkeep of the lines that keep the interconnect
$2,100 total?
Per month.
A month.
A month.
Month per customer or the total?
Just flat amount.
But you would think that there must be something greater than $2,100. That's, what all of us, our hourly wages up here while we're talking right now. I mean, what else is going on? More than $2,000.
Yeah, I can't.
We haven't wanted to speculate as to the reasons why they have been unable to reach agreement. You may want to, if we end up back before you in September at that hearing, you may want to ask them that question.
Okay.
But as far as we can tell, it's technically possible, in fact, easy for them to interconnect. And what Comcast has requested is 1/3 of what they say are the costs of their maintenance of the return lines, et cetera, per year. We haven't tried to determine whether that's the right cost. We're just going by the letters. And so that would come out to approximately $25,000 a year for AT&T in order to interconnect.
And so in September, we would if we approved holding that hearing in September, we would simply be ordering the connection, not the terms of an agreement relative to a connection.
Well, if you schedule the hearing, we would see what the status is as we get closer to September. We would ask AT&T and Comcast to come down and provide either written information or oral testimony to you at that point, and then staff would formulate a recommendation based on what we know at that point. We don't have an actual recommendation now, other than we believe that interconnect is feasible, and we think that this is the best way to go forward.
Okay, there's a motion to schedule the notice public hearing for the next commission meeting in September. Motion and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Now item 5.
Thank you. Sorry. Staff status. report, legislative update, meeting schedule, miscellaneous, and we have an action on this also.
Okay. And at this time, I don't have a legislative update, so I think, I thought some things might come up between the agenda and the meeting, but I have nothing to report there. As far as the meeting schedule, we're recommending that you cancel the regular meetings for July and August. And we just talked about a hearing in September, and so obviously have a meeting in September. There may be some issues with meeting date, and Diane, is there an update on that, or?
No update. Our normal September meeting has been bumped with the next session of the Board of Supervisors budget hearings, which are that first week in September. So we'll be calling your assistants or you directly, depending, to look for some new dates in September, probably the latter half.
Okay.
Okay. And then under miscellaneous, I just have one item under miscellaneous. You know, Diane Graber is been an ASO for the commission for a long, long time, a lot longer than I've been executive director, and she didn't want to go out with any huge fanfare or anything, and so I promised I wouldn't schedule a cake reception or anything. But I just did want to recognize Diane. I've done this job for a couple years now, and she's been a great help, so great that I'm fortunate that we're replacing her with someone else that's really good, because it's going to be hard to do my job, you know, without the support. But, you know, we're working on this transition now, and I'm really pleased to see that's going forward. But I definitely didn't want to let the moment go by without thanking Diane for all her help. And I just want to point out, she's a help to the cable video providers in the community. She's a help to the citizens. You know, I'm not sure how much you on the board see, you know, the work that she does and her staff has been able to do, but I'm willing to bet that there are a lot of phone calls that have come in that have been handled that would eventually get to these companies, you know, if Diane didn't help out. And so just wanted to recognize her for that. Closed captioning, I mean, I was executive director, but I could probably say that Diane, with the help of Metro Cable, single-handedly helped deliver closed captioning. And since in my tenure here, that's certainly one of her greatest accomplishments, I think. And so, you know, I was pleased to see that happen. And again, just, you know, she does a great job in keeping everything afloat and going smoothly. And I just wanted to thank her for her time.
Thank you. And I'd just like to say to everyone, I'm not leaving because I haven't enjoyed the job. It's a great job. I love the variety. I love the people. People probably more so than the variety, just because, you know, I enjoy people. You guys have always been very helpful, you and your staff. Bob's great to work with. You're really lucky to have him. Harriet has lots and lots of knowledge. And Karen's working on, you know, filling in. She'll be kind to her. There'll be a few rough spots. It's a lot, the position, really, to have pretty much, you're looking at a two-person office, and that's what makes it very interesting and why I enjoy it so much. I can't do the same thing day in and day out. So when you're doing anywhere from purchasing to payroll to complaints to dealing with the literature that the cable company, the disclosure and letters, we review those. That's a major part. So the variety is great. And added to that, like I say, is the people that I come in contact with, you, the elected officials, your staff, the cable companies, various departments, the grantees. Everyone's been great, and I'm going to miss it. But I'm also looking forward to having some personal time and enjoying that, too.
Go ahead, Robbie.
I wanted to personally thank you, too, because I've been here 13 years and done an outstanding job. And has your husband retired yet from the Sheriff's Department?
No, 2 more years.
2 more years.
Councilman Waters actually swore my husband in. He was sheriff at the time.
That's right. And he did a great job. So anyway, we really appreciate you behind the scenes, and you're doing all these things. A lot of people don't know that. And I know you got along real well with Rich Esposito, and that worked out great, too. So anyway, congratulations.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, on behalf of the Cable Commission, I'm sure that, I think that everybody here appreciates all that. It's 20 plus years?
22 years this last March.
Yeah, 22 years.
And 30-some with PERS. I have time under Los Rios also.
Wow, that's great.
So.
Good for you. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Quite an accomplishment. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and move the resolution canceling the 2 meetings. And
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Our next item is number 6, franchisee licensee general status presentations. And to the best of my knowledge, we don't have any speakers signed up, nor do I see anyone in the audience.
Okay, I don't see anybody run up to the microphone either, so on to the next item.
Next item is item 7, channel licensee grantee status presentations, and I believe you do have some repeat speaker slips for those items.
Okay, we'll do it again. Elizabeth Rhodes.
Thank you.
Liz Rhodes, Executive Director of the Educational Cable Consortium. Just a real quick update. The main part of it's going to be a short video that I believe they have in the back, so I'm giving a little bit of warning on that. In terms of our plans for last year, I sent everybody an email with an update of what we've been doing. Simply put, we're planning next year on doing more of what we've done this year, more classes, programming the channels. We've had a great deal of success with the distance learning classes, working a tremendous amount on content for BestNet. But one of the main emphasis that we're going to continue with, and we've had tremendous success with this year, is our Student Educational Video Awards. And many thanks to those of you who can make our event this year. It's the best ever. We had it out at Folsom High last month. We had standing room only. Filled the theater, 700 seats, with parents and students and numerous teachers. So if I can roll that video, I think it'll show you where your money is going and the enthusiasm and the excitement of this community for especially that area of student production. Oh, and we had a red carpet, so what you're going to see, you can just roll that video. What you're going to see in the very beginning is our Oscar version of the red carpet.
What do you guys feel about education and videos? You think it's pretty important?
Yeah, because most kids watch videos a lot, and so if they're watching something that's worthwhile, not just cartoons, then it would really help.
You guys look pretty snappy. What are you wearing?
Just suits and ties.
This looks like a little bit of Gucci. I'm not sure. I'm not up on my fashion. Who's this made by?
I don't know.
Welcome everyone here to Folsom. I hope you're having a wonderful time. And who's got the best video out there?
Instructional How-To SEVA Award goes to...
School News and Events is awarded to our Starfish. Native.
I'd like to really thank SEVA for offering my first film award, because I'm going to continue my efforts in film.
For everything they've done. So I just want to say thank you, and how great is this day?
Very, very exciting, and we had a wonderful time, and it was nice to be able to share it with so many of you and to have the support of the community on that, so that was great. We've outgrown the facility. I have no idea where we're going next year. The other thing is I didn't want to let today go by either without saying thank you to Diane for all of her help and support, and from SMCTC we would like to present you with a useful box for you to dust and keep all your stuff in. But we just wanted you to know how much we've appreciated your support over the past 20-some years. And I think if she gets to retire after 22, I've been here just as long. I should be able to go with you, but I don't get to. But anyway, thank you very much. We truly appreciate all you've done and the huge support that you've been to us throughout the years. So thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
We could still do that. because she's got till August.
Oh, that's true.
We just tell Bob I have to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
No more meetings, but
Mr. Cooper?
He knows.
Give her a discount to Frame Shop.
Ron Cooper, Executive Director of Access Sacramento. And just remember, Diane, it's not in a red box, but you do get your own pen from Access Sacramento.
Will be well, yes. Thank you, Ron.
Pen goes in the box.
I
Up on
echo.
your calendars, too, so.
That's right. Just give us your mailing address, we'll keep sending them to you. We appreciate, again, for Liz and I mean, we're getting down to the United Cable days and back in the, so it's, enjoy your retirement.
Thank you.
Just to reiterate, I did send out an email with some updates, including that two of the Place Called Sacramento films from 2007 have won national honors in the Hometown Awards, in the Kindred, in the Cultural Perspectives Professional category, and Being Lisa in the Gay and Lesbian professional categories. And both those films are on our website for folks to take a look at, but it's always a pleasure to have unique films created here in Sacramento by your constituents and then being honored and recognized on a national basis. Also want to extend the invitation to watch Channel 17 tonight at 7 o'clock because we're doing our annual membership meeting live 7 to 8. If this meeting ends and I get over there in time. And then one other concluding thought. We just got the summary for our website hits for Access Sacramento, both for information about the organization, but also to watch Channel 17 and 18 and listen to the Voice Radio, which is carried to the world, to any broadband connected computer in the world to watch our local channels. A couple of interesting insights, just to give you a sense of how the technology, the students, all of us are being watched. Two factoids. One, in the month of May, there were more pages called up by the country of Argentina than the United States of Access Sacramento. We have no idea why. We're averaging about 200 visitors a day to the website. And then the other factoid that was just amazing, and we had to track it back, in the month of March, we had a Saturday where we showed 6 back-to-back local high school playoff games from Marco Arena, where they put them together, and it's before it goes to the state. This is all this area, yeah. And so we had 6
sport, basketball, right?
What'd I say?
You didn't say the sport.
Yes, basketball, boys and girls. And so we had 6 back-to-back games. On that particular day, we had 2,000 views from Madrid, Spain. Now, when you stop and think about it, on a good day at those playoffs at Arco, that's 10,000 people. If we had 2,000 views from Madrid, Spain, we had 1/5 of the audience watching, and we don't even know why. I don't know who in Madrid is interested in local high school basketball. But these are the kinds of amazing kinds of opportunities that your continued support provide the community. So once again, thank you.
Thank you, Ron. And Arla Gibson again.
Good afternoon again, and this is probably one of the shortest commission meetings that I've been to, so I won't keep you much longer. But I did want to take the opportunity again to say thank you. We've had an incredible year. I think you heard from my colleague earlier at a meeting in March about what a great year we've had. We've won some Best Excellence in Journalism Awards, an award from the Sacramento Area Women in Radio and Television. We're one of the top 3 classical stations in the nation. We won an award for our jazz, excellence in jazz. So I hope you all get a chance to listen to us and stream us. We have a new streaming server, and it should be better than ever. So hopefully you will listen to us every day. So thanks again so much for your funding and your support.
Congratulations and thank you.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Ron, I should ask you, you were up here earlier. Your studio still in my kindergarten classroom at Coloma?
Yes, we call it the Robbie Waters Hall of Memories. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, there at the
Exactly
Coloma
where
Center.
I went to. When I walked in there, I could see that little chair I sat on, too.
And the former bathroom with the little toilets is the playback room. So there you go. So memories.
Why'd you tell us that?
I'll never forget it when they were tearing out the little toilets to put in our playback. The other irony for me is I grew up in Sutter Creek, and all the rooms in the Coloma Center are named after Northern California communities. The studio is the Sutter Creek room, so you can go home again.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Our last item is public opportunity to discuss matters not on this agenda, and we do not have any speaker requests, and everyone else in the audience has spoken, so.
All right, good. Okay, looks like we'll adjourn the meeting then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you walking back or you driving?
Yeah, I'll walk back with you. I want to talk about the resolution.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Have it.